Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gen Sense. Hope that you're doing well. Today I've got part one of what's going to be a three-part series of videos where I give you guys the top 30 best-selling men's fragrances for last year in the United States. So last year I did a video like this where I went over the top 20 best-selling men's fragrances of 2022, and I broke that out into two videos. Since this is a three-parter, it's the top 30. So today we're gonna be doing number 30 through number 21. I'm gonna be giving you the amount of money that these fragrances pulled in terms of sales. I'm gonna be giving you their ranking in both value and volume. So by that I mean, how many bottles did they push? Where was the ranking in terms of how many actual bottles were sold? Because you could be, number 5 in terms of value, but your volume could be higher or lower than that depending on how many bottles were sold. Essentially, how much is each fragrance bottle pulling in? That's what that's gonna tell you. These numbers are not easily found online. That's why I'm doing these videos, to put a little more information out there for you guys. You can rest assured that every single major fragrance house and flavoring house has these exact numbers, because that's where I go. So I'll have each one of these linked in the description below. We're doing number 30 through number 21. Let's get started. The number 30 best-selling fragrance in the United States last year, as far as value goes, Bad Boy Cobalt from Carolina Herrera. So this one ranked 30th in value, but 36th in volume, which means that there were 35 fragrances that sold more units than this one, but as far as the overall value of units sold, it was 30th. And I do need to add one caveat here. These numbers are from quarter 1 through quarter 3, so keep that in mind. Beginning of January 1st of last year, through the very end of September. As of right now, we don't have the quarter 4 numbers yet. If I can get an updated list that has the quarter 4 numbers, I'll do an updated list down the road. But as of right now, that's not available, so this is what we have. So keep that in mind and be aware that the actual number, when you factor in the fourth quarter, is going to be higher for every fragrance that we talk about as far as sales. Anyway, this one sold $12.05 million worth of units between the beginning of January and end of September. And as far as the overall dollar share of fragrances on the market in the US, this one accounted for 0.81%. But that's not bad. That's about 1% of the entirety of the fragrance market was this, as far as sales goes. And that was overall an increase year over year from last year, a 0.16% increase. So this one did a little bit better than it did in 2022. That being said, it was a 2022 release, so take that into account also. And with this one performing pretty well, being in the top 30, it makes sense why the newest Carolina Herrera Bad Boy fragrance is an elixir version of this one. That's one thing that you'll see time and time again as we work through this list. The fragrances that are successful breed other fragrances in that line. So when you see a lot of these fragrances pop up, some of them might be actually surprising, but then when you think about it, you go, oh, I guess that makes sense. So this one, really easy to wear, nice compliment puller, decently different than most everything else on the market today, other than Invictus Platinum. But still, Bad Boy Cobalt, this one pretty well received by most people. Like I said, nice compliment puller, really versatile, comes in number 30. Number 29 might be a little bit of a surprise to some people. It is 1 Million Lucky from Paco Rabanne. So why kind of a surprise potentially? Well, a lot of people have been saying 1 Million Lucky, discontinued. You can't find this stuff. Oh, it's going away for sure. It's going away any minute now. It's gonna be discontinued. Any minute now, for sure. And yet, it's still here and still selling at number 29. Now, in terms of the volume, this one is actually at number 34, kind of like this one over here. But still, really nice ranking, 29, 34. Can't complain about that too much. Now, as far as sales numbers, the actual dollar value, 12.49 million for this one. Again, not including the fourth quarter. And you might say to yourself, well, yeah, that's cool, but I bet it's losing steam. I bet it's kind of falling by the wayside, and again, it'll be discontinued. And actually, year over year sales were better. Go figure. As far as the overall market share, this one 0.84%. and that was actually an increase of 0.17% over last year. So yeah, actually it had a great year, all things considered. Market share went up, it's in the top 30, 1 million lucky, doing really well. So hopefully, I mean, honestly, I don't really trust Polo Red as far as discontinuations go, but hopefully that means it's gonna be around for a while longer, and it should be, because this stuff is great. Really nice mixture of sweeter notes, deeper notes, and fresher notes, makes it very interesting, and it's another one that is a big compliment puller, so I like that one. You should stick around. 28, Gucci Guilty Black. Yes, Gucci Guilty Black. 13.26 million is the number for this one. And Gucci Guilty Black is a fragrance that really, as far as the fragrance community goes, has been hated on since it came out. But this one for me has always been a very easy wearing fragrance that people in general love. It's fresh, it's clean, it's green. It's not really a fragrance I would think of as black, because typically you would think of a black fragrance as being, you know, a very dark fragrance, warm, rich, sweet, bold, more for like fall and winter time, but this for me is more like spring through fall. But this goes to show once again, which we'll see over and over again on this list, that the fragrances that are really selling, and we're not talking about just what's selling on the gray market here, we're talking about what's selling at retail. What's really selling is oftentimes markedly different from what people in the fragrance community, you know, fragrance aficionados, you might say, are clamoring for. It's two different worlds, right? And sometimes people can't see the forest through the trees. So they'll be like, oh, this is crap. Nobody's buying this. This is a failure. This is a failure for Gucci. And Gucci is sitting here like, I don't know, man. It's been a bestseller ever since it came out, year after year after year. So I'll take it. So this is just to say once again that sometimes you have to be able to cut through the noise. And just because maybe one sect of person online is saying, oh, that's a failure, you know, nobody likes it, et cetera, that might not actually be what's happening in reality. So 28th is the value spot for this one. Volume, actually 37th. So volume is lower than these two, but overall, the amount that this one made was higher. But one thing I will say about this is that it did decrease year over year as far as its overall share of the fragrance market for men. So this is 0.89%, but it was just a teeny bit over 1% last year, or year before last. Still though, really good showing for this one, and now we move on. Now, if you thought the last fragrance got hate, the next one is Phantom. Yeah, Phantom. Now, I just kind of defended Guilty Black, and I do like Guilty Black. My wife loves Guilty Black. Phantom, not my favorite. You know, I gave it some more wears after my initial first impressions and grew to like it a bit more, but it's not really for me. That being said, it's obviously making some money. So this one is 27th in value, actually 26th in volume. So it's selling more bottles, more units than these ones. Obviously it's making more money, but it's selling a decent amount more bottles as well, just at a lower overall price than these, it would seem. So this one made 13.31 million through third quarter, but it did decrease year over year as far as the percentage of market share. The market share was 0.9%, and in 2022 it was 0.97. So a decrease there, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes when we get the fourth quarter info in, and also this year as well, because if this continues to decrease, then maybe that's not so great. No, there's no maybe about that. That's not so great for Phantom. So that's Polo Red's Phantom, a little bit of a decrease, but still in the top 30. If it keeps decreasing year over year, that wouldn't be very good for Polo Red or the little robot. Up to 26th, YSL's L'Homme. Now this one I can get behind. A little bit of a modern classic at this point. Very appealing opening, ginger and citrus, smells great, easy wearing. Once again, you're gonna see that a lot. A lot of fragrances that are easy to pull off, very versatile scents. This is one that a lot of people have rocked for a long time, so it makes sense to see it here. So 26th in terms of value, 24th in terms of volume. So just barely outside the top 20 as far as how many actual bottles are being sold. 13.37 million is the number on this guy right here. And do you think it went up or down year over year as far as the market share goes? It actually barely went down, but it was just about flat, 0.03% decrease year over year. Actually about 0.9%, so really close to Phantom as far as the sales numbers goes. Sold a little bit higher number of bottles than Phantom. Actually had a smaller decrease year over year than Phantom. So I would imagine through this next year, unless something changes drastically, that this is probably gonna stay pretty close to where it is, and this might drop a little bit further, but we'll have to see. Then at number 25, we have the first Versace Mano FR. And this one actually, the volume, way higher than anything that we've talked about so far. While this is 25th in value, it's actually 12th in volume, almost a top 10 bestseller as far as just number of bottles being sold. Obviously, people are paying less for this fragrance on average than any of these, but as far as units goes, this thing is moving. It's at 13.76 million through the end of the third quarter. Versace Mano FR, a great summertime scent. You know, it's got that fresh, sweet kind of fruity, tropical vibe to it. Kind of an aquatic freshness to it that just people love. Little similar in ways to Light Blue for Women from Dolce & Gabbana. Obviously a little bit more masculine leaning than that, but still, it's that type of scent that just about anybody can rock, and that's why it's here. And this one has a lot of similarities to L'Homme as far as how it performed year over year. A slight decrease, 0.03% down, but it was still at 0.93% overall market share. After that one, we have Zoros The Most Wanted, number 24 as far as value, 23 as far as volume. So really consistent there. And this is the best-selling fragrance right now that a Zoro has out. So I guess a really slight spoiler there, but this is it. This is Zoro's best scent, their best-selling one anyway, as far as what's on the market. It's outselling Chrome, all the Chrome flankers, in the US anyway. It's outselling anything else in the Wanted line. And this is another one of those things that, you know, Zoro is looking at this and they're saying, oh, this is kind of the direction we need to go. And maybe they look at some things that are underperforming and they say, we gotta cut that. And I'm not saying they are discontinuing one thing or the other, but this lets you know why certain brands maybe start doing things in a particular way, or they push a line of fragrances in a particular way. If they see returns from this one, for example, and it's crushing all the other ones, they're like, probably need to do some more stuff like that, huh? Not this other stuff. And I'm not saying Zoro is gonna do that or not. I'm just saying, again, when you look at these numbers, it can help you understand which direction things are moving and why. So this one, 13.89 million is the number, actually an increase year over year. Quite market increase actually. 0.94% is where it's sitting as far as the overall market share goes. And that is, like I said, quite an increase year over year. So this one is actually trending upwards. So wouldn't surprise me if Zoro kind of goes back and leans on this a little bit, especially after Wanted Eau de Parfum. I don't know that that's gonna really move the needle as far as sales goes, but again, we'll have to see. Number 23 in terms of value is number 25 in terms of volume, and it is Myself. 13.9 million is the number for that one, just barely above the Most Wanted. Now, here's the deal with Myself. That number is actually crazy impressive. You may not think so just at first blush, right? Because it's on the lower end here of the top 30. But again, these numbers are only through the end of September. Do you know when I did my first impressions of that one, when I could first get it in and I bought it as soon as I could? Just a little over 4 months ago, as of when I'm shooting this video. You know when that would be? It's like right around September. Yeah, like August, September, I think is when most people could pick this one up. And with these numbers just running through the end of September, and this one really only hitting the US in force, right at the end of Q3, that's pretty crazy. Because a lot of these fragrances we're gonna talk about had the entire year. Actually, the overwhelming vast majority of fragrances that we're gonna talk about had the entire year. This one in the top 30 having a month or two. So I would think that if stuff keeps playing out how it is, when you get the Q4 numbers in, this is gonna shoot up into the top 15, possibly higher. And this year, 2024, with this having a full year of sales, I don't know, you could be looking at a top 5 seller right here, I feel like, unless something drastically changes. But having just 1 or 2 months, having it be that high is crazy. So it had 0.94% of the market share as far as dollars spent. And again, with almost no time on the market as of when the cutoff was made for this. A lot of people are gonna hate on myself. They're gonna say this is boring, this is generic, this is whatever, but kind of proof is in the numbers, right? If YSL was wanting to make a fragrance that the overwhelming vast majority of people would love, obviously they succeeded. So myself, doing really well. Number 22 is number 17 in volume. It is Legend from Mont Blanc. This one constantly gets overlooked, and yet it still performs, it still sells, people still love it. And yeah, I know it smells like Fierce, very similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, and yet Fierce, not on the top 30, actually not really close to these guys, and this one still crushing. 14.06 million is the number for Mont Blanc Legend, and this is one that has, as I said, consistently performed. It's one of those ones that, going back to what I said, just has that versatility. You know, you can wear this pretty much anywhere, gets compliments, and it's got a nice, kind of modern, masculine feel to it. The way that the lavender is used in here, it's just well done. Now, year over year, it did see a little bit of a drop as far as its overall market share, which again, just lets you know how consistent that it's been, that even at this performance level, which most people would say, oh, that's amazing for Legend, is actually worse than it was before. And I would think that this one, much like Mano FR here, is here to stay for quite a long time. It's just the bang for your buck with this one is really hard to touch, hard to match. And that takes us to our last one for part 1, Polo Red. Yes, Polo Red, which was number 20 as far as volume goes. Polo Red still killing it. Kind of tells you why there are more and more Polo Red flankers coming out, because people are still buying this. So they're like, well, we can put out new Polo Red flankers, and people that really like Polo Red are gonna scoop those up as well. So there we go. And then Polo Red Intense and Extreme were my favorites. So of course, those are the ones that get discontinued. Great. 14.20 million is the number for this one, and it actually increased year over year. The interest never dies with this one, I guess. 0.96% is the market share. In 2022, it was 0.81. Yeah, big jump for the old red EDT. Now, to be fair, I don't think it's a bad fragrance at all. I don't. It's just those flankers, man, the Intense and Extreme. I love them a lot, and I would personally, wear those over this, but all things considered, it's still a solid scent, and when you smell it, it does have kind of a timeless scent profile to it. You can tell why it still sells. And a lot of fragrances that are big sellers, like this one, or L'Homme, or Legend, some of the others, they do have kind of a built-in audience because they came out and they were really big at the time, right? When they were released, really popular. So a lot of people bought them, and then it became kind of their signature scent. So what happens? They wear it, use a bottle up, buy another. Use a bottle up, buy another. Use a bottle up, buy another. And then that helps push those sales up year over year. So there we go. This is number 30 through 21 best-selling men's fragrances of 2023 in the US, with the verified numbers that are coming direct from the flavoring houses and fragrance houses themselves. I also have the unisex numbers. I also have the women's numbers. So if you're interested, I can do a video on those as well. I'll be back soon with 20 through 11 and then 10 through 1. And if I can get the fourth quarter update, I will make an update video as well. But this gives you an idea of what's selling, what people are wearing, et cetera, et cetera. There we go. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.